common rule that I hear going around for these SAT, PSAT grammar questions is that if the SAT offers us a dash and there's another dash in the sentence, it's probably right. And that does hold in this case. Now, that won't always be true, but it is a pretty reliable thing if you just need to guess and move on quickly. Now, the reason that works is the double dash in grammar is used to kind of do an interruption. All right, it's going to interrupt the sentence with some sort of extra piece of information. So we can do that here. We can see what's going on. Here our sentence begins. When exposed to low levels of light, the plant's chloroplasts, the cellular organs that generate energy from light, reshuffled to form a tightly packed glass-like surface ideal for collecting more light. So just to be clear, the sentence doesn't need to really involve that part in the middle. It's kind of like it's not there. So the real sentence, we can test this out, is how does it sound when we read it without this interruption? When exposed to low levels of light, the plant's chloroplasts reshuffled to form a tightly packed glass-like surface ideal for collecting more light. That sounds like a real sentence. It's got some, jargon science words in there, but yeah, it's a sentence. And so that's it. We're done. We are basically just using these dashes like parentheses to tell us that there's extra information in there. Sometimes we can also use 2 commas. So it's not like this is necessarily wrong in choice C. It's just that in this case, the interruption ends with a dash. For the sake of parallelism, we want to start it with a dash as well. Same thing if it ended with a comma, we would want to start with a comma as well. The reason not to use commas is if the sentence already contains a bunch of commas like this one does, it gets kind of messy. It's hard to know what's an extra clause, what's an interruption, what's part of the main sentence. And so the dashes are just visually different. So it's easier for our brain to kind of read it and see where the interruption begins and ends. One other thing I'll add is a semicolon is very easy to check. In order to use one in 98% of cases, we need to check, do we have a sentence before? Do we have a sentence after? In this case, I don't think we have a sentence before. When exposed to low levels of light, the plant's chloroplasts. Well, what do? Right? We don't have a verb there. They're just not doing anything, so that's not a sentence, so it fails that test, and that's why it's wrong. But in this case, like I said, I noticed the dashes first, but in other cases, looking at the semicolon might be the easier thing to do first.